What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday DFS Golf Bets and Picks show here with my guy, Uncle T. We're here ready to break down the Zurich here this week. We got the team event, so a little unique type of event here. We're here ready to break it down, bring in my guy, Uncle T. Uncle T, what's going on, buddy? How's everything going with you? What's going on?
Yeah, everything's good. Always good to be back on another golf show. I'm missing AP this week. We'll get him back next week on the back on the regular event. Was it the CJ Cup or one of them's coming up? I can't remember, but yeah, so gonna miss him this week, and yeah, missed me last week. I had all kinds of computer issues last week. Got to fired up that brand new laptop, and yeah, we should be good to go on that. But yeah, it's kind of, you and I were talking a little bit off the show, off the air, that they got rid of the match play, event that I kind of, as far as DFS, just me personally, I know people feel, other people feel differently. I wish they would have kept that one and got rid of this one myself. That's just, I don't know. It's golf. There's some good prize pools out there on, on DraftKings, and a lot of money we can make this week. So clearly we're going to, I got 4 or 5 teams in right now. I may put a couple more in, but I'm not going to go crazy on a week like this. But, there's definitely some angles. We'll get into them here as the show goes on. But no, it's always fun to watch some golf for sure. It's definitely a different event. You're going to need to clearly go low. There's 2 formats. You'll talk about them in the course preview, but they'll be doing something Thursday, Saturday, and then Friday, Sunday, right?
Yep, for sure. Yeah, we've got another unique event here, but I'll get into the course breakdown, then we'll get into the plays. We'll go tier by tier like we usually do. But this week we're at another die track here. It's going to play as a par 72. It's going to measure 7,435 yards. This track is smaller greens. They're going to be at right around 5,225 square feet on average. They'll be rolling at around 12 on the step meter. Golfers are going to see water in play on 8 holes. The rough is going to be shorter this week as well. The Bermuda grass will be right around 2 inches in height. We're going to have that unique event this week, with it being a team event. Rounds 1 and 3, they're going to be played as best ball. And then in rounds 2 and 4, that's going to be played as alternate shots. There's going to be a lot more variance in that. There will be a cut this week also, with the top 33 teams and ties advancing to the weekend. So that's huge. Usually we see a lower 6-6 rate making through the weekend here with a lot of variance in some of these teams. There's going to be some dusty teams in contention this week, so just buckle up. The alternate shot's going to bring in a lot of variance, like I was saying. I mean, you could have golfers playing from different distances, different landing areas than they're used to. Some of the guys are bad putters or bad approach players. If they can mesh that together, it'd be huge. The teams must score well in that best ball format, though, too. If the teams can ham and egg it in birdie opposite holes, that'll be huge. I'll be like the optimal play they can go, because they're only going to get credit for 1 birdie per hole. Even if they both make birdie, they'll just get the credit for the 1. So they can kind of go take turns birdie and holes. That'd be huge. The streaks will still be in play and everything like that. And then some key stats we'll be looking at this week. Won't be modeling too much this week with this event, but I'll be looking at approach, birdies are better gained, opportunities gained, strokes gained off the tee, and then good team mojo. If the guys are used to playing with each other, their friends and such like that, I think that goes a little ways this week as well. Any thoughts from you on Uncle T as we kind of get into this? Any thoughts from you from the strategy and the format of this event?
Yeah, definitely want to. You definitely want to get your guys with the really low scores on day 1 and 3, like you said, the best ball, the alternate shot. Obviously, you could get into some situations on that alternate shot. I know I've played in it a little bit before with just some different outings I've played in myself, and obviously these guys are the pros. But you could get you get a guy that starts to spray them off the tee or what have you. Clearly, you're gonna kind of fall back. I think last year 30 under won it, the year before 29. So, you're going to be looking upwards of in that 25 to 30 range comfortably for the most part, as long as weather don't come in. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of weather as far as that goes. Yeah, and then like you mentioned, just, you got to, and we'll get into, again, some of these tiers. I've already looked at a couple of these guys that, again, some of these guys are really good iron players, not very good putters. Some of them struggle a little bit tee to green, but they're struggle there, but they're good putters, and vice versa. So I think, again, I'm going to have some fun with this week. Clearly, I want to dial in and make some good teams, but I'm not, it's not like a normal event for me. I'll be honest with you. It's where I'm going to try to have a little fun with it and, just kind of dial in next week. But I think another thing to look at too is if you wanted to go kind of stars and scrubsy on something like this, I don't necessarily think that's necessarily the way to go all the time on these things. But like you said, you got 80 teams or so, and only the top 33 make it. So that 6 of 6 cut rate is, if you can get all 6 through, you're going to be looking pretty solidly here this week, especially if you can bank the winner. And obviously, as we start going into these tiers, the big decision right out of the gate, just because of ownership, will be Xander and Cantlay, because those two, I think they started stroking each other like 2 weeks ago, getting ready for this event. Right? You had Cantlay that was just real quick to go back to last week. Obviously, it finished up on Monday. But Sunday, right before they blew the horn, and Cantlay was trying to figure out if he wanted to hit an approach on 18. He went ahead and hit it, barely made the green. It was on the front fringe.
Yeah.
And, the announcers are kidding around. They're saying, Xander's already at the airport waiting for you to go to New Orleans. So it was kind of funny, a little play on words there, but in the situation. But no, I think there is some strategy. You definitely want to get off to a good start, because if you don't get to go off to a good start on day one on the best ball, and you get down 5, 6, 7, 8 shots, which you could easily do here, say you go just 1 or 2 under, and as a team, and there's a team that gets out 7, 8, 9, 10 under par, you're going to have a hard time catching up for sure, much less make the cut. So kind of a fun week, but like I said, I'm not going to go crazy this week, but we're still here to pick some winners. So let's get into it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll probably be playing probably like 40 to 50% what I usually do as well. Just kind of try and take some chances here and play some of the lower owned guys, take some chances, and have fun with this event. As it's just one of the more fun events. I know we were talking pre-show. We wish they would have left in the match play event versus this, so that would have been a lot more fun. I mean, we both enjoyed that event. There was a lot of game theory involved in that too. We both had pretty good success in there. I know the rest of the RPS guys did too as well. Big T really liked that as well as some other guys. But
I had one of my bigger golf winning. It wasn't last year. It might have been 2 years ago, I think it was, or maybe 3. I can't remember. I know it wasn't last year, because I think Big T shipped a lot last year, and I struggled a little bit last year as far as my teams, or the last year they played it, whenever it was. But one of my bigger golf winnings was in the match play. That might be why I got some bias towards having that tournament, not this one. But it is what it is. Yeah,
for sure. That used to be the week after the RPS party, after the March Madness, was always that tournament. But that was always fun. Kind of diving into this week, we can start on the top range here. Scotty's not in the field this week, which means somebody else will have a chance to win this week. First time in a while. But we've got Cantlay and Xander up top at 11-2. I think they're going to be coming in. Some of these contests, they're like single entries and such. I think we're going to see Cantlay Xander in that 50 to 60% range, probably closer to 50% in like the larger MME type stuff. But I think they will approach 60% in some of those single entry contests and stuff. Like you were saying with Xander or Cantlay last week, I thought it was absolutely wild how he decided to hit that approach shot from 230 yards away and straight into the wind. And then he gets up to the green. He's like, "Oh, I think I'll just mark it and come back in the morning." I mean,
I thought didn't he hit like a 5-wood too in there? And they said he hit every bit of a 5-wood that he could hit, and he barely made the green because of the wind. So,
yeah. I mean, I probably would have, if I was going to wait to putt it, I would have waited to hit the approach shot. But
yeah, that was when Joey LaCava should have stepped in. Joey should have stepped in and said, "Hey, you might want to just wait." But again, you got if you play out the hole though, and he can play it out, obviously he can get out of there. I think too. Clearly he decided to stay, but say he was a shot back of Scotty or something like that, I think he definitely probably would have held off and waited. But
But those two have been. They have the elite form in this event. They won this event a couple years ago, finished top 5 last year. So they warrant the ownership they're going to get. They're both playing great golf right now too. Xander was playing the next best golf. The Scotty, I thought, coming into last week, didn't have his best stuff last week, still finished inside the top 20. And then Cantlay's just got elite course history. I don't think he's ever finished outside the top 10 in that RBC last week. He finishes inside the top 5 again this week in that event. Both are coming in great form, rightfully so. They're going to be the highest owned guys. I don't think I'm going to go there. I'm going to take some stands, and that'll be the one stand I take. I mean, I'm just going to try and cut off 50 to 60% of the ownership there. If they don't finish inside the top 5, even if they win, I mean, you could see some other teams get there. Like we saw Scotty last week. He won, but there was a couple of contests. I know Scotty was on the opt on a lot of contests, but there were some non-Scotty teams that were up there last week. I'm going to be probably off Cantlay and Xander. If I play cash, I'll definitely play him in cash. So, I mean, I think they're one of the best plays on the board there on paper. Rory and Lowry, that kind of surprises me to see Rory playing in this event. Lowry hasn't really been playing the best either, so I think they can both hit foul balls off the tee too. So I think that's a team that could get in some interesting situations in alternate shot. I'm going to fade them as well. I think they'll probably be somewhere in that 17 to 20% ownership range as well. And then right below them is the team I like the most, Sahith and Zalatoris. I think these two, the ceiling of these two can play any bit as good as Xander and Cantlay can. I mean, I think Zalatoris and Sahith, both their ceilings are just as high as those two. So I'm going to get those two at like half the ownership and about $900 discount. That's the way I'm going to roll. I'm just going to maybe even lock in Sahith and Zalatoris this week. They're my preferred option upside here. Sahith off the second place last week. Zalatoris had been starting the year well. Top 10 at the Masters. He was top 5 here a couple years ago. Last time he played this, and Sahith finished inside the top 25 last year. Now they're teamed up. I think they are the under-owned powerhouse in this. My guy Morikawa's definitely playing better golf, but I'm not sure he meshes well with another guy's game. I mean, he usually we could see it if Kitayama. They're both kind of struggling with the putter, though. I don't think either of them can really make the putts, which scares me in that alternate shot format. But I think I'm going to be probably locking in Sahith and Zalatoris up top here in the top 10K and plus range. Uncle T, what's your strategy up top here? What are the teams that you're gonna be anchoring your teams with?
Yeah, real quick. I don't know that you mentioned it in your pre your opening Snyder, but Richie Small says, why do the teams have why do they have the teams twice with the golfers swapped? Obviously, if you're not used to this event, you can only grab one of them for DraftKings. So if you're wanting Scotty, if you're wanting Xander and Cantlay, obviously you can't take them both in the same lineup. They're going to get the same. They're going to, if one birdie gets made, like Snyder said in the open, they're both going to get credit for the birdie, no matter which one you technically put in your team. So you can only have one of the partners on your DraftKings team. So you're going to have 6 different sets of guys if you want to look at it like that. So that's that. But I got similar thoughts as you. However, I am going to probably right now, like I said, I think I got 4 or 5 teams on DraftKings, and I will probably go over the field on Xander and Cantlay. The difference, I know what you're saying from the other team that I like as well, Thigala and Zalatoris is $900, but I don't think for me it's that big of a gap. I think it needed to be bigger for me to maybe get off Snyder, I'm really struggling with my word. Shoffley and Cam. I'm used to Scotty being in here, and it's a different conversation. But I think it's going to be hard to fade those guys. I mean, they finished 4th last year after winning it the year before. Then they had a T11 together the first time they played together in 2011. They're definitely going to be upwards of 50% for sure. They're 4.5 to win the golf tournament on DraftKings right now. Both of them playing really well. So I'm probably going to go, again, I got 5 teams right now. I may go 80% and go 4 of the 5 teams with them to start. You mentioned Rory. I think I read something earlier today. He's played the most rounds up until this point out of any time in his career, like up until, again, late April here. he's played something like 36 or 38 rounds of golf, which it's really weird, right? Because a lot of these guys, especially big names like him, they set their schedule out pretty much all year, and they're wanting to obviously gear towards the majors, and in the past, those WGC events, where now you obviously got the elevated events that obviously throws a monkey wrench into it. But for him to play this much golf, it is kind of strange, and I don't know that he's necessarily trying to find anything. But playing with Lowry, obviously, those two have played Ryder Cups together and such. The problem with them is you only got a $500 difference between them and Schauffele and Cantlay. Lowry hasn't really putted the ball very well at all. I just think these guys in the best ball can do pretty well. I worry about their upside, and I may be proven wrong. Obviously, this is all just what we think. It could obviously go the other way, but I think they could struggle an alternate shot. So I'm going to pass on them. I really like what you said about Theegala and Willie Z. 10-3, I'll probably put, again, if I keep the 5 teams I got now, I'll build that 5th team, starting with Theegala and Willie Z. And the good part about this grouping is, and I'll talk about another grouping similar as we go down the board here. But, the struggles that Willie Z has been typically on the green. And I think Theegala has been one of the better putters on tour recently and really does good on the green. So maybe those two can kind of gel together. And like you said, probably pretty good friends. First time they've played together in this event. But I really like that grouping as well. So if you want to kind of, get away from all that ownership with Cantlay and Schauffele, I agree with you. Just go on down and start your builds with Theegala and Willie Z. No problems there. They're 7.5 to win the golf tournament. No issues there. And then I think we had somebody in chat, Binks the Cat, said, what about the Colin Kitayama combo? I kind of had them. I told you pre-show. I kind of had them on my radar, and then I kind of soured on them a little bit just because I think their games are similar from the standpoint of their pluses and minuses. Like, neither one of them can putt. Now, obviously, Morikawa's played really well the last 2 weeks, a couple top 10s. Excuse me, really, really hitting the ball well. But I think Kitayama, I'm not 100% sure this is going to be a good grouping. So I'm going to be out on them. If you want to play the ownership game, they're clearly, I think, out of these guys in the 10K range, they're going to be the lowest owned, at least from what I'm seeing. So if you wanted to kind of play that angle, you can definitely get them in. And then did you want to go down into I can go ahead and start in the 9s if you want, unless you want to say anything else about the 10Ks?
No, I think we hit it pretty good. Like you said, Xander and Cantlay are the easy click. I think a lot of people are going to go there. I get the play. I don't know if I'm going to get there. I know you're going to play him. I know a lot of people are. I get the play. Maybe I will come around. If I end up throwing like 150 teams in or 100 teams in like just the mini max of the $5 or something this week, I'll definitely have some of them. But if I end up just hand building like 5 teams, I might just fade them. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have that up on the playbook, and the cards will be up later. Kind of need to run through that again, but I do like just the theory of Zalatoris and Theegala at half the ownership. Wouldn't surprise me if either of those two teams won. They could finish 1 and 2 for all we know as well. You could play them together if you want to kind of go stars and scrubs and get. So you'll have to dip down into the cheapies, but there's some teams down there we can get into a little later. You can jump into the 9Ks if you want to start that off there at 9-7 with the Fitzpatricks right there.
Yeah, in the 9K range, there's some good teams in here. And another thing, and again, I already told you guys what I'm going to do as of right now. 5 teams, I'm going to play 4, Xander and Cantlay, and I'm going to start my 5th team probably with Willie Z and Theegala. But if I add teams, or maybe you talk me into getting into that mini max, I may try to max the $3 and try to build some teams that way. An interesting build for sure. If you start a build, Snyder, without Xander, Cantlay, Theegala, or Willie Z, say you skip the whole 10K range and you start with 2 of these groups in the 9K range, right away, in my opinion, you're going to completely be different than most of the builds. I feel strongly about that. So as we go through them, the Fitzpatricks, they played together obviously last year for the first time. They got a T19, but I think they're in a range where I think if they were lower 9Ks, and obviously Matt's the headliner here. Alex came in last year and wasn't playing as good a golf. He's played a lot better coming into this tournament than he did last year, but I just think they're overpriced. I think again, Fitzpatrick's a world-class golfer, one of the best in the field here, but I just don't know, even though they're brothers and played a lot of golf together, I don't know if I want to pay $9,700 for this grouping. So I'm going to probably be out on the Fitzpatricks. The team that Connors and Pendrith, the Canadian team, if Pendrith obviously had a T11 at the matched up event last week, he finished T11 in Punta Cana, and finally had a nice finish. But prior to that, he had really, really been struggling with his game. And, Connors is steady Eddie. He's an elite ball striker, just a matter of how many putts he can make. In theory, these two guys should gel together pretty well. But again, I don't know. They're going to come in probably the lowest owned in this group, probably 7, 8, 9%. I'm iffy on them. I'm going to see what you think on those two. A couple of the groups that I really like a lot, Tom Hoge and Mav McNeely. I'm seeing about 10, 11% ownership on these two, 22-1 to win the golf tournament outright. Hoge took that 9 on 18. That really hurt a lot of people's feelings probably in Showdown. And for me, that he was on my main team last week and shot or took that 9. And I think he went from T3 or 4 to T19, I think, or something similar to that. So he dropped me down the board and hurt my feelings, but I'm going to go right back to him. He's been playing some really good golf. And then you pair him up with Mav McNeely, who's had a really big bounce back year coming back from the injury year. So I really liked him. I kind of was surprised, Snyder. They were only around 10 or 11%. I thought they may come in, upwards of 15 to 20. And right now, if they stay there, I kind of like that ownership there. And then again, the team right below them, one of my favorite teams on the board. And they'll be, I think the 12% ownership I'm seeing on Hadwin and Taylor, I think that's going to go up. I'd be shocked if they stayed at 12. These two guys feel like they really are going to go together well. Nick Taylor, again, having a kind of a breakout year for him, so to speak, a little more consistent, I should say. Not necessarily a big breakout, but more consistent on the leaderboards a lot more consistently this year. Great iron player. And then you got Hadwin that can putt, So I think these guys will gel well together. Straka and Garnett, I'm out on Big Sep. And Garnett, again, I think, Straka's been playing some good golf, but, I just 9K feels like it's a little too expensive for those guys. The wild card for me in this range is the Hogards. Rasmus and Nikolai. Nikolai's clearly been playing some really good golf. Rasmus, we haven't seen him a whole lot on this tour because he hasn't been getting any, he doesn't have any exemptions or anything. Like he hasn't gotten any tournaments over here, and he hasn't been playing very well in the ones over there. So I think, and they're going to come in pretty high owned. I'm seeing 23, 24% on the Hogards in this range. And Snyder, to be honest, with me liking a couple of those groups above, I'll probably end up being out on them too. So probably out on that group, probably out on the Straka Garnett group, and then at the top, the Fitzpatrick group. So I kind of like the middle to bottom part of this 9K range.
Yeah, I think so. This is a big event for the Fitzpatricks there. If Matt can somehow win this, he'll get his brother on too. Or I don't think I'm going to go there, though. The team I like the best in this, that has the best odds, and the ownership isn't following it, which is kind of strange to me, is my guy Mav and Hoagie there. I mean, I think Hoagie is just playing spectacular golf. I mean, his approach play is right there. He's number one in the field in approach play by a pretty wide margin. He's hitting the ball great. If he can hit the ball on the green and have Mav putt, I mean, Mav's a great putter. Those two could ham and egg the alternate shot like tremendously, I think. So I really like the Hoagie and McNeely team there. They've got the best odds in this 9K range. They're at plus 2150 on Circa right now. So I really like their chances there. I may even just play one team in this. I might just go Sahith, Zalatoris, Hoagie, Mav, lock both of those teams in, and then try and mix and match a little lower, try and get the values right. If I can anchor my two teams with two solid teams that I think have legit win equity, and I think both those teams do. Mav and Hoagie right now have the fifth best odds on the slate to win this, so definitely high on those two. They're both playing some great golf too. Mav's coming off that injury really well, like you said. I've been playing him early in the year, and he's been doing well. And I've been playing Hoagie about every week on the regular events there as well. I know it was some bad mojo there. That was a really costly shot for him too, as far as the money goes. That That was a huge pay cut I think he took with that 9, but I like those two the best. Pendrith and Connors, you can see some good mojo with those two. I just don't know if I'll get there. They're listed at 29-1, so it's not terrible. Fitzpatrick team, they've got their odds are
I got 25.
Yeah, I got 32 on Circa right now. The Hogards, I don't really think I mean, they could do all right in this, but I'm not going to pay that price tag for them. Like Seth and Garnett, they're too high priced, I think. I know Garnett was great for us last week. We both played him. I had him on the Showdown playbook every single day. I mean, DK just left him at 6K min, and the guy was making like 5 birdies every day. So that was paying off very well for the Showdown streets there. So I played him last week. Probably not going to go back to him this week. I think they might just.
Snyder, I think if they were just overpriced though. Yeah. They're actually they could be a good team, but at 9K, I'd just rather go up a little bit to the teams we mentioned, or there's some good teams right below. We'll talk about in a minute. I just think they're sandwiched in a tough group. You know, tough parent. If they were 8,200 or 8K, I'd have a lot more interest.
Right. Yeah, I agree there. And they have Garnett's missed a cut in this event 3 of the last 4 years, and Straka's missed a cut in 2 of the last 3 that he's played it. So, yeah, it's just another reason for me to kind of get off him there. And then I'm just gonna load up on Hoagie. Played this event well last year. He was T13 last year. I think Mav's gonna play well in this event too. So I'm gonna load up on those two and ride with the odds on Circa, which I like to follow. Circa and Pinnacle are the 2 sharpest books I think with the lines and stuff. So I generally follow them the most. We can dive into this 8K range now. For me, it's just probably gonna be. I'm just going to make 2 stands up top. It's going to be the Zalatoris, and it's going to be Hoagie and Mav, my guy Mav. Let the cards fall where they lead and see if we can find the right combination. I'm going to be trying to find the right combination as we kind of get into this mid-range and the values there. If those two groups can finish, inside the top 5 and inside the top 10 or something like that, I think I'll have a decent sweat come Sunday. What's sticking out to you here? 8K range. Any guys you really liking here? Pretty good group of guys here in this 8K range, all the way from Billy Ho and Tyson Alexander at 8-9, down to Higo and Highsmith and Fox.
Yeah, and before we get to them, I was just doing some playing around while you were talking. Like if we started like with Cantlay, Schauffele, and then went down to. Again, I like the Hoagie pairing. I also like the Nick Taylor Hadwin pairing. You go down there, you still got 7,400 if you wanted to do that. And if you plug in Willie Z, who you like, and I'll have a build of Willie Z and Tagala, and you go down to the Hoagie group that you mentioned, you're still going to have almost 7,600. Mm-hmm. So there's ways that we can do this, and it's again we talk a lot about a game theory and this and that. This week it's a little bit different. It's still game theory on how we think they're going to play in each of the formats, but. There's still some good teams that we can build. So, and then as we get into this 8K range, like you said, it's a pretty big size range. Horschel won the event last week, right? I'm pretty sure he did. And has been playing some really good golf. And he's one. You want to talk about one of the horses for courses, if you will. Obviously, playing with different people, but he's played really well at this event, right? I mean, he's got to be one of the better course guys, right? Am I looking at this right on Horschel?
Yeah, Billy Ho's got some really good course history here. 11th, 2nd, 4th, 13th. Yeah. But I think the main reason for that was he used to play this event with Sam Burns every year. So he had a really good partner there. And this year he's going to a way more volatile guy in Tyson Alexander.
Yeah. So, And again, Alexander's actually had a couple nice finishes, a couple top 20s in his last 5 starts. Again, just overpriced for me, similar to the Straka Garnett pairing. I don't mind them, but just the price, I'm going to be out. They're going to be very low owned, probably 5 or 6%. The Mitchell Diamond pairing, I think, could be a very good one. They're 30-1 to win the golf tournament down here at 8,800. So I kind of like them a little bit. You got the Montgomery Griffin pairing, who I think both putt the ball pretty well. Obviously, Montgomery's a really good putter, but again, they just feel. I know I keep saying it, but maybe it's just geared towards the guys that I know that I'm going to play that grade out well for me. But it feels they're again, maybe should be in that low 8K range. They feel a little expensive to me, but they feel like they're pretty good plays. So I think I'm going to be maybe in on Montgomery. Bo Hostler and Ryder, I don't think I can go there. I never played Big Bo. I'm not a Hostler guy at all. Sam Ryder is usually a guy that we have in the punt range down on a regular tour event. I'm out on them. An interesting pairing for me is a guy that's playing really well right now and a guy that's not playing really well right now. Two guys that know each other, Dietrich and Robert McIntyre. They'll probably be one of the higher owned guys in the 8K range, but they're 35-1 to win the golf tournament down here at 8,500. And Dietrich has been playing really, really good. And maybe he can, get McIntyre to kind of feed off that good play. If they can get off to a hot start in the best ball on Thursday, I think this team could be, where they could move up the leaderboard and kind of contend a little bit heading into the weekend. So I do like them a little bit. Another team I like is the Doug Gim and Chan Kim. Say that fast a couple times. I think this is a group that, honestly, they could be flip-flopped with Horschel and Alexander up the top of this range, in my opinion. Doug Gim's been playing. Now, he's coming off a couple missed cuts, a couple of the better events, but he was playing some pretty good golf before that. And Chan Kim, again, not any really, really big, results, but finally getting some, a lot of starts on the tour and such. And I don't know. I feel like this team could be really good. Low owned, maybe 6 or 7%. So I kind of like them a little bit. My favorite in the 8K range is one of the more mispriced teams, Davis Thompson and Andrew Novak at 8,100. I think they're both playing really well, decent form, very high upside for these two. I know they neither one have had success in this event before, but both of them playing really good golf this year, a lot more consistent, totally different golfers than they were, I think, in the past. So I like these guys quite a bit, Thompson and Novak. The only other team in this range I kind of like a little bit, and it's similar to the pairing with Dietrich and McIntyre. You got Fox and Higo. I think Fox is probably going to have to carry this team a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Neither one of them have played. Now that I look at their results, I'm looking more at the 40-1 odds. Me, I'm always looking more at the odds. If there's a tiebreaker for me, I kind of look at the odds and kind of go that way. But 40-1 feels like it's, the people out in Vegas are giving them a good number there. So I kind of like them a little bit. Fox, I don't think he's played in this event. At least he hasn't the last 5 years. And then Highsmith, Putnam, I don't know. I'll probably pass on them at the 8K range. So for me, just to recap real quick, kind of got some interest in the 8,800, 8,700 team with Mitchell, and then the Montgomery team. And then you go down, Dietrich McIntyre, I think, has some upside. Chan Kim and Gim, and then Thompson and Novak. So really, I got a couple, again, I may start some lineups or have some lineups where I got the Xander and then go right down into here and then try to find a couple guys down below.
Yeah, for sure. I'm right there with you on the Gim team. I really like Gim and Kim there. Chan Kim's been playing well. He was top 10 at the Punta Cana, and Doug Gim was fine over there, T43. But I think both of those guys can play really well together. I think they got good mojo. Doug Gim had a top 11 here a couple years ago, T32 a couple years ago as well. So he's played this a couple of times. And on Circa, those two have the best odds of anyone in this range, even better than a couple groups in the 9K range. Also, they're at 34-1 on Circa right now is Doug Gim and Chan Kim. So really like them at 8-3. They're my favorite in this range. Hostler and Ryder have decent odds on Circa, but I think that's like a large field GPP type play. I mean, I could see those two playing well. I mean, Big Haas was solid early in the year. I was playing him pretty much every week during the spring there. He was top 5 at this event last year. And then Sam Ryder's had 3 straight trips to this event. He's finished T26 or better every time. Top 3 for him as well 2 years ago. So I think they've got some decent large field GPP upside there for them. I'll be sprinkling in them a little bit. Taylor Montgomery, super hot with the putter. If Griffin can get him close, get him some close opportunities, I think Montgomery could get on fire on these greens. Montgomery generally isn't the best off the tee or ball striking. Ball striking as a whole has been a challenge for Montgomery, but if Griffin can kind of do that and get him into some good good situations there in the alternate shot. I think that would be interesting there. I think Dahlman and Keith Mitchell will probably be the highest owned group in this range. I could definitely see them two kind of hamming and egging it. I mean, Dahlman's been terrible on the greens the last 36 rounds. He's losing about a stroke average there on the greens there over the last 36 rounds. But they're both striking the ball great approach wise there. Keith Mitchell is second in the field in strokes gained tee to green over the last 36 rounds. So they could probably fit the pool if I have enough room for them in that price range. I'll probably play a little bit of Hostler and Ryder, like I said. I'm not going to play Dietrich and Bobby Mack. They're going to be one of the higher owned. They're going to be right there with Keith Mitchell and Joel Dahlman for like the highest owned in this 8K range. I'm not going to play Dietrich this week, so I'll probably be off of that. Who else do I like down here? Daniel Berger and Victor Perez, probably not going there. I think Novak and Thompson have some good upside down there. I like Andrew Putnam. I really like his grouping there. I think he's with Joe Highsmith. I think those two could do well. Decent odds, not the greatest, but I think Putnam's been playing some solid golf. He was top 5 at this event a couple years ago as well. So Putnam's a guy I always kind of play for value. 8K is kind of getting into that value range. Probably have a little bit of him. Any final thoughts from you here in this 8K range? My favorite team in this range, though, like I said, it was going to be Gim and Kim, though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a strong range because, again, I was doing some playing with, building some teams with Cantlay and Schauffele, and then both with Willie Z and Sahith. You could get a couple of these teams in with those builds and still be able to. Again, we'll get into the last part of these next two ranges, but the Davis Thompson, Andrew Novak team, I really, really like. I think those guys. I think they got a tremendous amount of upside. And I know that the past results here haven't shown it, but again, I think they're two totally different golfers now. So I like them quite a bit. I could have a couple core plays. Check out all the cores coming in. We'll get them filtering in sometime tomorrow afternoon and then into the evening tomorrow. Check out all the core pages and core plays, Snyder's playbook. But yeah, good chance a couple of these teams might make it into my core this week.
Yeah, just kind of going through some odds here on these guys in the next range.
Oh, Snyder, real quick, not to interrupt you, but I wanted to mention this because I know I'll forget, and we've already gone past these teams. But, I haven't gone through a whole lot of matchups on these shows the last couple of weeks, but, it's kind of a bets and matchup show as well. Yeah. So there's one that stood out to me earlier, and I think we can still get it at minus 115. Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin, who I don't know that you like them a whole lot, but yeah, I like them a little bit. I like them. They're 115 over Straka and Garnett. And I just think that's a really, really strong play. Hadwin and Taylor minus 115 over Straka and Garnett. So I wanted to mention that because I had looked at that earlier, and I've already made the play. So I wanted to give that out as a nice matchup for the people. But
I'm going to have to jump on that as well. Looking at the outright odds, they're 22-1, and Garnett and Straka are plus 34.50. So really good advantage there as well. I can pull up some matchups too and kind of run through some stuff.
All right, go through the 7. I can go through the 7K range while you're looking.
You can start the 7K range if you want. We got Eckroat up top of the 7-9.
Yeah, this Eckroat Goddard pairing is interesting, and it's interesting because Eckroat's playing obviously some of the best golf he's ever played this year. Goddard has not. Goddard's a guy that hits it a mile. It's an interesting pairing. I don't know if they clearly probably know each other. I don't know where to go on this because if Eckroat can kind of pull him through, some struggles that he's had, and the Vegas odds show 35-1. I don't know if you're still seeing a 35-1 for this group that's 7,900. So maybe that Vegas odds is pulling me to where I need to have interest, but I feel like Goddard is going to really kind of lag this team behind with his play. But anyway, I don't like any teams going down until you get to Taylor Moore, Matt Neesmith. Obviously, a lot of people are going to like it. They'll be one of the better plays on the board, but they'll also be very high owned. Taylor Moore, Matt Neesmith, they both finished T4 playing together the last 2 years. Taylor Moore has been really playing well. A couple top 4 finishes in this event, and then also he had a T2 a couple starts ago. Neesmith's the one that's really been struggling. So again, we've seen a common theme tonight, Snyder, where these pairings, you got one of the 2 guys, right, that's been hot, and you got the other guy that's kind of been struggling. So it'll be interesting to see if, again, the friendliness of the pairing and being comfortable with the pairing, maybe it can pull these teams through. Maybe one of the guys struggling, Michael Kim and KH Lee. I always kind of like playing KH Lee on these types of courses, right? And they've got some good finishes. I think this might be the first time they've played together, but they've both played in the event a few years now. 45-1 to win the golf tournament. I like that as a nice value play. Gonna pass on Hadley and Sig. Hardy and Riley, they're the defending champs, but I don't know. I think both of them have kind of struggled quite a bit this year. I'm not going to try to chase the defending champ angle and the high ownership. They're going to have 16, 17, 18% probably by the time we tee off on Thursday. I'm going to pass on them. A couple teams in the mid 7K range I'm interested in, Justin Lauer and Dylan Wu. 7,400 feels like a nice price tag and a nice value play for those 2. And then Jacob Bridgman and Chandler Phillips, I kind of like them as well, right in that $7,400 range as a couple nice value guys. And then going down towards the bottom half of this range, I've got Campillo and Norman. I know we played Norman quite a bit when he's played over here in the past. He hasn't had as many good finishes recently, but a good ball striker, can make some putts. Campillo, he's a guy he's been around a while, a nice veteran player that I think would mesh really well with Norman's game. So I kind of like them a little bit. And then probably my favorite as far as, ownership included in Vegas odds included, Matty Schmid and Alex Smalley. Now, Matty Schmid's a guy that I probably play Matty Schmid more than anybody. And he's played some really, really good golf. I mean, if you look at his last 5 finishes, he's made the cut in his last 5. And he's got 3 top 21 finishes. So I like him quite a bit. Now, Smalley is the guy you might say, okay, same thing you've been saying, Uncle T, 7, 8 straight miscuts, but maybe he can pull Smalley through. Again, you're getting down into this value range now. You're not paying $9K for a team where one of the guys are struggling. Matty Schmid, I think, can maybe help carry this guy, Smalley, who's had some good results in the past. He's just in a bad stretch right now, but I really like this.
He did finish 6th at the Corrales last week at the Punta Cana. The off event, he was a 6th, so he might have a little form going in.
Yeah, I actually see that now. I totally missed that from last week, but he had missed 7 or 8 cuts in a row before that. But yeah, so the bottom part of this range, I like the Campillo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. We'll go with a Campillo Norman team, and then that Grazerman Echeverria, I got a little interest in. I'll see what you think. But yeah, interesting range for sure. I'm not going down towards that bottom part of this range where you got, you got Palmer. How about Ryan Palmer? Didn't he play with like Rahm? Maybe once or twice.
Used to, carry him around.
And then he had someone else pretty good, didn't he? And then now he gets poor Zach Johnson.
Yeah, they're going to be on a rough time there. But yeah, I do like that the Smalley Schmidt team. That was one of my favorite teams I was going to bring up there. They got good odds too. I mean, they're on Circa, they're 59-1 right now. I mean, that's really good odds for the price tag. So I'm going to be very heavy on Schmidt and Smalley. I've been playing Schmidt quite a bit as a value. I mean, he's just been crushing as a value, paying off his salary about every week. He was T11 at the Punta Cana last week, and then Smalley looks like he finally found something last week with the T6 at the Punta Cana. So I'm going to be pretty heavily invested in those two at 7,200. I think they might be one of the better price per dollar teams on the board, right there with Taylor Moore and Matthew Neesmith. I really like that pairing. They've played excellent at this event. Last year they were T5. They were T5 the year before, and last year in the alternate shot they broke 70 both times. I think they shot like 68, 69, or 66, 69, and they were sub 65 in both best ball rounds. So definitely like those two, and they got really good odds as well on Circa. They are 45-1, so really like that for the price there at 7,700. So Moore, Neesmith, and then Smalley and Schmidt are going to be my top two two options. I'm going to be very heavy overweight on those two. I think KH Lee's team is interesting for a tournament play there. You could go there. I'm going to be off the Davis Riley team. If they're going to be that highly owned, I'll probably be off. Davis Riley and Nick Hardy are projecting for right around 15%. Maybe even they reach 18%. 15 to 18%, I think, is where they're going to fall. So I'm probably going to be off of them just ownership-wise. I'd rather play some of these other guys. Plenty of upside guys. My guy Jacob Bridgman's down here. I've been playing a decent amount of him. He was top 25 at the Punta Cana last week, so I like that. Justin Lower had a top finish at the Punta Cana. I think he's interesting there. So I'm going to have some interest in Justin Lower there too. He's finished top 10 at this event a couple years ago as well. I think he's playing with Dylan Wu, isn't he?
Who was that?
Wu. Yeah, Lower and Wu. Yeah, they're playing together. Yeah, I like that. Yep. I like that pairing.
Yeah, I mentioned that. I like that.
Yeah, top 30 his last two events there too at Houston at the Valero as well. So I like Lower quite a bit there for 7,400. I think I'm just gonna be overweight on those guys mainly. Daughtry, I probably won't get there. I do like some Ben Silverman as like a punt, like Corn Ferry Tour guy. I probably won't get there though. Max Gracerman has been a guy I've played a couple of times. I was on him at the Houston Open where he was top 10. He finished top 15 at the Punta Cana last week too. Or no, that wasn't him. That was his partner, Echeverria, was T15 at the Punta Cana. He was T40 there. Gracerman, I think he had one bad round last week. I think he's a strong play, though, in this field. Really good off the tee. Gracer. Let's see if Gracerman's playing with Nico. Nico's been a soldier a couple times this year. He's had a couple of solid finishes. Couple of missed cuts there at some of the bigger events, but he was T15 last week, so I think he makes some sense. So I'll have Nico in the pool. But mainly, I'm going to be really overweight on Matty Schmidt's team. Schmidt, Smalley, and then Taylor Moore and Neesmith. I'm going to be overweight on those guys. Just try and play them probably 50% or more each as my top values in this play. So, I mean, my main team's probably going to start out with like Sahith Zalatoris team and then Hoagie Mav and then those two values, and I'll see where I'm at. I think I'll have enough to potentially get another guy in the higher 8Ks or the lower 9Ks there. If I can get to like a Hadwin Taylor, I would love to fit that in there too. And I think I could fit another lower 7K team, not even have to dip into the 6K range, which I'm kind of trying to avoid the 6K range, but we'll dive into that right now. There could be a few flyers down here. Not actively looking to jam in a lot of these 6K groups this week. What are you seeing down here in the 6K range, Uncle T? Does anybody jump out to you as a good value play under 7K?
Yeah, real quick before I get to the last range here, I think the Moore Neesmith that we both love, them and the Hardy Riley are definitely going to be the two high owned in there. And I think we're both lockstep. We're both going to fade the Hardy Riley and not chase that again. I could see the Moore Neesmith group getting up there a little bit in ownership, but I'm okay with that though. If I'm going to fade, Hardy and Riley down here, and believe it or not, I like Hadley and Sig. I'm seeing with some ownership, maybe 9 or 10%, which I don't get. But I'm not going to be able to fade both of those teams though, and I do like the Neesmith pairing with Taylor Moore. So yeah, and then going down to the 6K range, I'm with you. Like I'm going to definitely need, especially them Xander teams that I'm building. I'm definitely going to need to go down here at least for one team. I'm going to try not to grab more than one team from this range. Justin Suh and Rico Hoey, Justin Suh, if we got the Justin Suh from last year or towards the end of last year where he was playing fairly good, and you pair him with this Rico Hoey, who I think is pretty decent, I think this would be a slam dunk at 6,900. They're 90-1, so they're under 100-1 as far as it doesn't sound like much, but at 6,900, we're going down towards the bottom of the board here in these pairings. And Suh, he's finished T23 and T11 in a couple trips here. I don't know who he was paired with those 2 times, but he's had a little bit of success here. I like that grouping a lot. And then going down, I'll just mention a couple of the names so that I don't steal a couple of your cheapy guys, but like the team of like Stevens and Barjan, I don't mind. Malnati, who I think we've played a little bit this year, had the breakthrough win, about a month ago. Him and Knox pairing don't look too bad. My favorite in this range, of the 6K range, I love Austin Smotherman and this Mac Meisner, I guess is how you pronounce it, or Messner or Meisner, 6,700. Both of them coming off a couple nice finishes. So they are one that I probably, them and the Cootie combination down there at 6,600. Those are probably going to be two of the teams that I'm going to try to build into those teams as much as I can. I really like those 2 teams. They've got really good Vegas odds. And then going down the bottom a little bit, you can take a flyer on the Whaley Long combo, the Tway Craft combo if you wanted. I'm just not going to go there. I think I'm going to go with the Smotherman group, the Cootie group, and then at the top of the board, Suh and Hoey. So those would be my top 3 in the 6K range. But again, I'm trying to build. I may even finish some lineups that, especially the lineup with Zalatoris and Sahith, definitely finish probably in the 7K range if I can.
Yeah, I think the team I like the most is the team that's going to see some ownership. I think Justin Suh and Hui, I've heard that name a lot around the industry, listening to a couple of podcasts. That's the kind of the trendy name that some people are going to, which is fine. But I think they're going to be about the same ownership as the Cootie brothers. I just rather play the Cootie brothers. They've got decent odds on circa there 115-1 down there at 6,600. They both played well last week at the Punta Cana as well. Parker finished 6th, and then Pearson finished T18. So they're riding in on some good mojo. They've both been making some cuts, not really doing much, but they've been making some cuts at some tougher fields. I think they got good mojo playing with each other. They've played a lot with each other, I'm sure, like growing up and such. So some good mojo there. So I think my top team down here is going to be the Cootie brothers. I like them quite a bit. And then I'll add in some of those guys that you like, though, as well. But I'm trying not to dip down here as much. If I can just lock the Cootie brothers and I can kind of fill my teams in within that 7 to 8K range, then I think I may just go with that because I'm going to take a lot more chances. I'm not playing as much this week, but if I can try and, almost like lock in 3 teams like I like to do in that $10.18 max and the $3.20 max, where I can lock in 3 guys and then try and get a bunch of combos, right? Have the right teams there. If those 3 teams can get through and be there on Sunday, I hopefully will have some good combinations there to kind of close it out on Sunday and maybe have a sweat down there. So I'm not too engaged in these in the 6K range. Sam Stevens is a name down there too. You could go to if you wanted, but I think the Cootie brothers are kind of getting my attention down there at 6,600. Really opens up quite a bit for the way I think I'm going to be building and such. So I think that kind of wraps this up for us there. Anything else you want to add in? We can give out our teams to win the outrights. Struggling there for a little bit, but who are you liking?
Yeah, I think we broken it down pretty well, to be honest with you. I think for me, I think the Xander combo is going to be really tough to beat again. But if I was going somewhere other than the top of the board, I'm going to go down to that Hadwin Taylor group. They're 20-1, a pretty decent price tag, I guess, on them to win it. I just think they're going to mesh well together. I think they're going to be right there. They were close last year. I think they break through this year. And then again, just because of the shorter field and the odds are kind of bunched together up at the top, my long shot this week, or this week, is only going to go down. I'm going to take that Davis Thompson, Andrew Novak, 45-1. I know it's not truly a long shot, but it's a different event. It's hard to grab one of those teams down there at 100-1. They're not going to win the golf tournament. So Davis Thompson, Andrew Novak, I think is going to be one, kind of down the board a little bit that I'll put some money on. And then, before you get into it, just some final thoughts for me is, thanks for the guys in the chat, kind of keeping it. Thanks to Kat. And then obviously our guy, Richie Smalls, thanks for joining us tonight. And then next week we'll have the CJ Cup. I don't believe that's an elevated event. I'm pretty sure. No, it's not. And then you got the Wells Fargo in 2 weeks that Quail Hollow. That's one of my favorite stops on the tour. That'll be an elevated event. And then again, in about 3 weeks, we'll have Valhalla. So some good golf tournaments coming up. It's going to be fun to break it down with you and AP. We'll get him back next week. But yeah, it's going to be a fun week. Just enjoy it and kind of embrace the variance a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a fun event here. I'm going to go for my longer shot winner. I'm going to go with Doug Gim and Chan Kim there at 50-1 on FanDuel. I think that's the best number I'm seeing right now. FanDuel usually has the best odds and such. In my short shot, I think Zalatoris and Thigala are going to get it done. They're 7-1 on FanDuel right now. Maybe you can find a better number on them, but I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna kind of pull this one out there. And we'll have all the playbook will be up later tonight. The cash chart, all that'll be up. The core plays. Uncle T will have his core up there. Everybody else will have their core. The tournament page will be up there as well. I'm not sure if they're going to run Showdown for this event or not, but if they do, I'll have the Showdown stuff up every day as well. So any final thoughts for you, Uncle T, as we kind of wrap this up?
No, just like I said, good luck to everybody this week, and we'll be back next week for the CJ Cup. And again, we're already into May golf. It's crazy. Before you know it, we'll be into the summer golf. We got again the PGA in a month. I'll be going down on Saturday and Sunday to Valhalla, so I'm really looking forward to that event in a couple weeks, obviously. But no, just good luck, and like I said, check out them showdown slates. Snyder does a great job and takes a lot of time. Puts a lot of time into those showdown playbooks every week. And, hey, you can make some money. Snyder, you talked off air. You didn't do as good with your main slate teams last week, but you kind of, bridged the gap and basically broke even due to the showdown slates last week.
Yeah, it was good. Last week I basically locked Scotty and everything, but my values didn't really get there. The Soldiers kind of struggled on the weekend, but that'll happen.
Soldiers took a week off. That's all right.
They were fighting battles elsewhere, I think. But, yeah, we always appreciate you guys watching this. Hit the like, subscribe if you haven't already. We haven't bugged you with that yet, but that really helps bring these free shows to you guys. And I'll notify you when we go live with other shows. I think Big T and JSU may be on the playback, the Run Pure playback page now. If you want to slide on over there, get some showdown, NBA showdown cores and winners over there. But, yeah, we appreciate you guys for watching as always, and always run pure.